Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we're going to be continuing our AFL 2023 3-game match reviews. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing the final 3 games of round 10. Those games are Hawthorn vs West Coast, Carlton vs Collingwood and GWS vs St Kilda. Alright, first game Sunday, Hawthorn vs West Coast. Earlier today at UTAS Stadium, it was Hawthorn 22-10, 142 that smashed West Coast 4-2, 26 Hawthorn won by 116. They smashed the bottom side by over, they smashed the 17th place side by over 100 points in Tasmania. They are a way better side in Tasmania. They nearly defeated Adelaide there. They got over West Coast here, and they're going to play a couple more games in Tasmania, and they are definitely in contests in Tasmania. They are a better side in Tasmania, and out of North Melbourne, West Coast, and obviously Hawthorn, they have looked the better of the 3 sides as well. As the Harley Reid Cup does look to be going to West Coast at the moment, momentarily. West Coast might snap out and play a little bit better in the coming weeks, but after this performance, they've really got to look at themselves and find a better way forward, because this is obviously not it. Losing by 116 points to Hawthorn isn't great. They had 4 goals by half-time, and then did not score a goal. They scored 2 behinds in quarters 3 and 4, and Hawthorn fast started 7 goals first term, 4 more in the second, 3 more in the third, and then 8 in the last. So Hawthorn didn't even kick away that huge in quarters. They only kicked 7 goals in quarters 2 and 3 combined. So this could have been a horror show for West Coast. This could have been even worse than what it was. So you'd almost have to think lucky for them that it wasn't as bad as what it could have been, because if this was a different side, they would have got absolutely belted by way more than this. But Hawthorn, they looked okay last week versus Melbourne. This is a big win for them, as we know. 139 fancy for Sheed, who was the only sole warrior for West Coast. 2 goals, 30 disposals, 8 marks, 5 tackles. 130 fancy for Nash, who's having a little purple patch at the moment. He's looking good. 126 fancy for Lewis, 125 for Sicily and Witherden. 113 for Newcomb, 104 for Williams, and 102 for Weddle, 96 for Bramble and Kelly. Goals behinds now, 6 goals, 2 for Lewis, 3 goals for Bruce, Kazitsky kicked 2, Mackenzie kicked 2, Sheed, Brockman, Weddle kicked 2. We'll go through the list of 1 now, and it was Moore, Butler, Warple, Newcomb, Bramble, Allen, Jones that all kicked 1 goal. But yeah, it was definitely Lewis that was the big one there. Disposals 30 for Sicily and Nash, as well as She, 28 for Weddle and Witherden, I believe. Yes, Witherden. Marks, 11 for Sicily, 10 for Witherden, 9 for Waterman. Tackles, 10 for Williams and Petrocelli, 9 for Newcomb and McDonald. Hit out, 32 for Reeves, 31 for Meek. 27 for Williams, 7 for Jamieson, 1 for Kazitsky. Team stats now, where Hawthorn had way more of the footy, 448 to 311. Inside 50, 70 to 29. West Coast just don't go inside 50 enough, and we know that. You don't go inside 50 enough, you don't win games. And no surprise that they only scored 26 in this game based on the entries inside 50. Clearances, 45 to 37 in favour of Hawthorn, 13-7 centre, 32-30 stoppage. So we do know that is an area which Hawthorn are good at, are centre clearances. They won that area against the Dogs. I believe they did it against the Demons. They've done it again versus West Coast. Their young midfield is actually looking very good here for the Hawks. They smashed West Coast in contested possessions, plus 34, and by over 100 in uncontested possessions. Marks, 105 to 83, smashed them there. 18 to 1 marks inside 50. That's just a domination, and that's just too easy. West Coast took 1 mark inside their 50 for the entire game, and 18 for the Hawks. It really just, these stats just dissect this game really perfectly, really. Hawthorn did lead for most of the game, and this is just an absolute obliteration. We know they like to tackle as well, but yeah, really poor performance here from West Coast, and a really good one here from the Hawks. Now to the Sunday Channel 7 game between Carlton and Collingwood at the MCG. Carlton 7-15-57, defeated by Collingwood 13-7-85. Collingwood win by 28 in the end, and it was a win where it's kind of hovered around the same margin after half-time, with both sides having quite even ends to the game in what is a low-scoring game, and one which Carlton were always out of, it felt, after that first term where Collingwood kicked 1, 2, 3, 4 goals in a row in the first quarter, set them up for ultimate success. They lead by 4 goals at quarter time. Second quarter, 5 to 3 goals, lead by just over 30. And then that trend, 1-1 in the third quarter, 2-2 in the last. So it was just kind of behinds, which just changed up the margin a little bit. Yes, inaccuracy from Carlton could have cost in the end, but yeah, again, it was a pretty simple win there for the Pies, and they look really good as well. 124 fantasy for Docky, 119 for Chera, 115 for Dacos. That's Josh Dacos, 110 for Moore. Goals behind, 4 goals for Myercheck, who's doing really well at the moment. 3 goals for Kerno, 2 for Mackay. So it's not massive outings from these two, and they kicked 5 of Carlton's 7 goals, but it's enough to just kind of say they're back. They're back in business, and for a side which does have an undermanned defence, not Collingwood, but for sides which do have undermanned defences, these two will strike, and that they were good enough today to get a bit of a pass. 2 goals for Owies as well. Those were only Carlton's goal scorers as well, which is definitely interesting when you only have a few goal scorers. 2 goals for Johnson as well. Disposals, 34 for Doherty, 33 for Cherry, 29 for Walsh, 27 for Nick Dacos, Jordan DeGoey and Josh Dacos. Marks, 12 for Moore, 9 for Josh Dacos, 8 for Newman and Myercheck. Tackles, 8 for Pendlebury, 7 for Silvani and Durden. 28 hit-outs for Pitnet, 16 for Cameron, 15 for Cox, 3 for Silvani. Team stats now are inside 50s. We're locked at 51-51, as I did say before. Carlton were a little bit more inaccurate than the Pies. 38-30 clearances in favour of Carlton, 8-12 centre in favour of the Pies, 30-18 stoppage in favour of the Blues. So it was a little bit better this game for Carlton by the looks of these stats. A little bit better. 79-93 marks in favour of Collingwood, 9-13 marks inside 50 in favour of the Pies as well. Collingwood did lead for most of the game, and they did have Carlton put away quite early. And yeah, once Collingwood really did get out to that big lead, it was going to be tough for Carlton to come back, and after half-time it was quite a low-scoring and very similar game. Alright, now to the final game of the round, which just wrapped up not too long ago, about a little under an hour ago, and it was the Giants and the Saints at Giants Stadium, the Sunday twilight game. And it was GWS 12-8-80, defeated by St Kilda 13-14, 92 Saints by 12. This is definitely what they needed to do after last week versus Adelaide, where they got absolutely destroyed. This week was definitely better. And again, a little bit inaccurate in the last quarter. Could have, multiple chances to put the Giants away. But the Giants never gave up. They were in this game and probably had the better first quarter than the Saints. But then in the second quarter, it was even by half-time. That was definitely the must-watch quarter. It was back and forth footy. Both sides really had some good moments, some not-so-good ones. It was just a really exciting quarter of footy, that one. In the third quarter, that's where the Saints do threaten to take the game out. They do kick 3 goals in a row, which were only 3 for the term as well. At a big moment in the game to take the lead into the last term, the Giants kicked the last goal of the third term, first goal of the final term to take the lead, but then the Saints just do enough and defend for a fair bit of the quarter, but just do enough to hold on in the end. 141 AFL fantasy for Jack Sinclair, who has been great. 2 goals, 37 disposals, 8 marks, 2 tackles. 121 fantasy for Steele, 114 for Canelio, 112 for Daniels, 111 for Tom Green, 110 for Marshall, 107 for Nasai, Wanganeen, Miller, 4 goals for King, 3 for Higgins, 2 for Hogan, Gresham, Daniels, and Toby Green, that'll be, as well as Butler and Sinclair. And Kieran Briggs also had quite a big last quarter as well. The ruckman there for the Giants, 37 disposals for Sinclair, 32 for Whitfield, 29 for Tom Green, 29 for Nasai, Wanganeen, Miller as well. 26 for Canelio, 10 marks for Stocker and Wanganeen, Miller at 9 for Wilkie, hit out tackles, 11 for Steele, 9 for Perryman and Tom Green, 30 hit outs for Rowan Marshall, 22 for Briggs, 8 for Riccardi, 5 for Camentini, 4 for Owens, 1 for Hogan and King. Team stats now 49-59 inside 50s in favour of the Saints there. And again, you generate and go inside 50 more times. Again, winning can be a little bit easier. 42-30 clearances in favour of the Giants. 12-15 centre in favour of the Saints. 30-15 stoppage in favour of the Giants. Saints won contested and uncontested possessions as well. Marks, they smashed them in that area 62-113, as the Giants were happy to allow uncontested marks, little short ones, not necessarily long ones, but little short ones outside, getting out of defensive 50 there for the Saints, especially later on in the game. 13-17 marks inside 50 in favour of the Saints as well. The Saints led for pretty much about little under 2/3 of this game, And this was quite an interesting contest. The Giants hung around, but a big win and one, which definitely the Saints needed just to get a little bit more confidence. Little round review so far now. So Port Adelaide got over the Demons by 4. Swans over North by 3. Dogs defeated Adelaide by 45. Dockers defeated the Cats by 29. Lions defeated Suns by 43. Essendon defeated Richmond by 1. Hawthorn smashed West Coast by 116. Collingwood over the Blues by 28. And then the Saints defeated the Giants by 12. We'll go to the ladder and then have a little look at the next round. So Collingwood are on top of the table, which is not much of a surprise at the moment, followed by, in ladder positional order, Brisbane and Port Adelaide. Then the Demons, Saints, Dogs, and then the Cats, the Crows round out the top 8, but just outside, same amount of points, still Essendon and the Dockers. Then it's the Blues and the Swans, which will meet in a big clash next week, which we'll be getting to that in just a moment. 16 as well for Gold Coast. Then it's the Tigers, Giants, Hawks, North, and West Coast. We'll go to next week's fixtures now, where next week does look to be a brilliant week of footy. We've got some really big games coming up. Swans Blues is definitely the headline. Two struggling sides. They desperately need a win. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you do not miss the round preview or tipping, because those are massive videos which I'll be either A, in tipping, going over my predictions for these games, or B, in the round preview, going over more detail in these games. But yeah, that's a big one. Sydney Blues. Saints Hawks could be a little bit of a decent one. So could Melbourne Free, but those are Saturday afternoon games. Then it's the Cats and the Giants in Saturday twilight game, GMHBA. Gold Coast versus the Dogs in Saturday night game, TIO. Big game, West Coast Eagles in West Coast Essendon in Perth. Sunday, Richmond versus Port Adelaide, Collingwood versus Northern Adelaide versus Brisbane. A few more big games there as well. But anyway, though, round 10, what a round it was. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please do make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys so much. Bye everyone. Flame for the out.